Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started. It's good to see you. It was a lengthy grading session last night, and we got your grades back. We got feedback footage back, so make sure you watch all of that if you can. I know it takes a little bit of time to get through. I think we played a game last night for about 50 minutes straight, and the games are getting longer. They've got more stuff in it. There's more to talk about. And we're in that kind of critical moment. We have just enough time to kind of get some things tweaked in our game and then have a week to kind of see what the outcome is and make refinements if we need to. But time really is running short. It's only about 2 weeks until your final showcase, if you can believe it. The finish line is not far away. The end of the tunnel is in sight, the light at the end of the tunnel. So please take advantage of these final 2 weeks. Do the best you can. Please look very critically to how are people experiencing our game, okay? What are the playtests showing us? Are we having fun in our playtesting just with each other, in our team? You do have time to take a bad situation and make it vastly better, okay? In fact, it is quite common at this moment to have some pretty rough deliverables, okay? There have been untold numbers of 494 teams who have gotten their P3 alpha grades and feedback and have said, oh no, right? We're dead. We're finished, right? We can't possibly turn the situation around. And then they make a few changes and the game design just comes to life. It starts to sing, okay? We just had a very good office hour section with a team, and I'm very confident they can get this turned around now. But another interesting lesson to think about is that in high school, in middle school, there's this notion, there's this habit that gets implanted into our brain that says, the harder you work on something, the better it will be. That is usually true in middle school and high school. It is often not true in college and industry and beyond, okay? There's this pattern that develops where, hey, I can just kind of brute force things. I can work super hard and it's going to be a great outcome. That is simply not the case anymore, okay? Not for you, not at this age, all right? Not in your situation. You need to be very, very careful that you are allocating your effort and your time and your energy and your spirit and morale and your hope and dreams. You're allocating them in a very smart way, okay? You can dump immense amount of time and effort into something and have it be garbage, okay? And this tends to happen, especially if you're not playtesting often, if you are not critically looking at the things that you're building as you build them, okay? Has anyone ever heard of a game? This is all going to go into a new lecture for next year, but have you ever heard of a game last year called Concord? This is a game that is so famous, it turned into one of the great gaming disasters of 2024. The entire studio took about 7 years of development and about half $1 billion, it's reported. The game, despite all those resources, all that effort, came out and had about 300 players at launch. Sony shut them down, fired the entire studio. Their entire corporate strategy has been absolutely crushed by this game. And one of the reasons it's reported it suffered so much, actually, I think I can bring it up. Let's see, Concord. Let's see what happened. Concord game, okay? Okay, the biggest failure in gaming, the absolute chaos of Concord, 2.1 million views. It is far more interesting to study than it is to actually play. But this game came out, had absolutely no audience. People did not like it from the get-go. And one of the reported reasons for why is that a culture of kind of toxic positivity developed. If you've never heard that term before, I hadn't heard it until recently either. But it's basically a thing that can happen on teams where it becomes very, very difficult to offer any sort of feedback or criticism, which means you can't correct course, right? We're just going to go in this direction, and the head honchos won't accept any feedback and won't change course, even when the data strongly suggests that we should. And as a result, we end up going off the rails, and we're all fired now, right? So you want to be very, very careful. You can't just dump more and more effort into something and get a better result. You have to be very, very careful with how you allocate all that time and energy, okay? So this is just to say, hey, do your playtests, pay very close attention to them. Are players playing in a fashion that is engaging? Are they making decisions? Do they have to think and talk to each other? Do they have to kind of alter their strategy? Or can they just choose one strategy and it just works? It just bulldozes the entire game, okay? They never have to change things up. They never have to think and reflect on what's going on in the game. And if you can make some tiny tweaks that force players to think a little bit more, that forces them to stop and pause, often that really makes a game design sing. Okay, definitely be very critical of what's happening, what you're seeing in playtests. Lean into your theming. Okay, even a simple game design can really work effectively if other parts of the game, like juice, maybe it's a simple design, but it's so juicy and fun and visceral. I just enjoy it, right? That can carry the game. That can carry the whole game to victory. Okay, even if your game design is relatively simple. Okay. All right, so this is all to say, if your game isn't in the state that you want it to be in, if your scores aren't what you want it to be, don't lose hope, okay? Fight the good fight, do what you can. You might be surprised how well things turn out. Games often come together at the last moment. Red Dead Redemption is our kind of famous example of that. Just a mess of a game that came together at the very end to critical acclaim and ridiculous sales numbers. So never give up, okay? And remember, in this course, most of the points on this project are in the final few deliverables. So you can get wrecked on a bunch of these submissions, and then as long as your game is in a good place by the end, you're going to get a lot of points, okay? And don't forget about all the extra credit we built in the course that I haven't graded yet. And a bunch of you have regrade requests in that I'm going to take care of at the end of the semester as well. All right, this course has plenty of comeback mechanics, okay? So make use of them and fight the good fight, all right? You never know what could happen. All right, Doom, have you ever heard of it? Doom, a very famous game for kind of creating and popularizing the first-person shooter genre, the most popular genre in games today. Doom is now, these days, famous for another reason. Doom has kind of famously portable source code, and thus it is also very open. You can actually view this Doom source code online if you want to. You can try and port it to something if you want to, try and get it running. And as a result, Doom now runs on everything. It has become a hardware benchmark. If you have a device that has a screen and some way of interacting with it, whether it's via a touchpad or just a few buttons on the hardware, then someone's going to try and get Doom to run on it. So let's take a look.
Now, the reason why Doom has been so popular over many years goes back to the source code and some of the interesting things about it.
Soon after the source code was released, Doom started to appear everywhere. You weren't sure if it was an elaborate hoax or real, but most of the time it was true. Doom would run on digital watches, digital cameras, ATMs. Even the Amiga received a report after John Carmack's insistence that the hardware wasn't powerful enough. With the right developer that's familiar with the target hardware, miracles can occur. But this was no miracle. In fact, the Amiga port of Doom is largely unaltered from the original source code, only with obvious changes for screen, audio rendering, and control outputs. Later ports were rewritten with optimized assembly that can even run on mid-spec 68020 or 030 class processors. So, let's try to understand this a little better.
This is by a really great channel called Modern Vintage Gamer. This is a developer who actually gets hired from time to time to do really impressive ports of older games to consoles that are a bit underpowered. So this guy knows what he's talking about and has a lot of very visceral industry stories. And you can finish watching this video if you want to learn more about what makes Doom's source code so nice and portable in the first place. But voting machines can run Doom, right? You go to vote and you're instead playing Doom. Juicers can run Doom, all right? Which is, maybe your juicing operation is taking too long. You're a bit bored, so now you can play Doom while you juice, okay? Why not? Makes a lot of sense to me. Microwaves, okay? So now, while you nuke things in real life, you can be nuking things in a game at the same time. Even the Unity editor can run Doom, okay? You probably have this notion that the Unity editor is very extensible, which is very important for game teams that want to make big, serious commercial games. They need a lot of custom tooling. They want to speed certain things up in their development process. Here we have someone who created a component whose only purpose is like you're bored while you're making your Unity game, so you can just pop it on and you can play Doom in the inspector. So let's take a look. Going to add the doomed component. You just click Doom. And so you get it, right? Doom has become a benchmark, which is very funny. It's an interesting bit of history. If you make your games highly available or portable, if your games have some sort of interesting property that the public latches onto, your games can become well known for something that you didn't expect, okay? I don't think that John Carmack expected Doom to get this second life to it in the way that it did. When your game has nothing left to give, open source it, and people will find a way to use it. Okay. All right, a quick announcement up here. You've been working super hard on these games, okay? And the games might not be exactly where you want them to be now, but you still got 2 more weeks, and they're going to be 2 big weeks, okay? Your friends and family really, really care about what you are doing, okay? Some of you have your family kind of helping you pay your way through college, which is a super nice thing if you get that. Please reward your friends and family by letting them come to your showcase, okay? They want to see what you've been working so hard on, all of those late nights, all those play tests. They want to see where all of your hard work has gone. And even if you look at your game and you see nothing but problems and issues, know that if you're a good game dev, you will be your own worst critic, okay? And that while you see your game, right, for the 1000th time, and all you see are the problems you weren't able to solve, you didn't have enough time, you couldn't figure out how to do it, people who see your game for the first time ever will like it a lot more than you do, okay? It will be novel. It will be fresh to them in a way it isn't for you, okay? And many of the issues your game has, they might not notice, all right? In fact, there's a good chance they won't. They'll just enjoy the experience for the 10 to 15 minutes that they have to play it. And so, please, please invite your friends and family to the showcase, okay? You'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy having a bigger crowd. You'll enjoy getting more feedback. And your beloved friends and family will have a great time seeing what you've been working so hard on, okay? They're going to love it no matter how your game turns out. So please invite them. We've created some events, and I'm going to send this out on Piazza in a day or two as well, just to remind you. But let them know what's going on, and note that they can attend the showcase remotely or they can attend it in person. So even if they're far away, they can still watch the intro presentation. They can watch your trailer. They can hear people clap for you, right? That shit really matters, okay? I know it sounds cheesy. Just you wait. Give it 10 years, okay? Give it 10 years, you'll be in my position, and it won't be such a goofy idea anymore, all right? Sounds cheesy, but your life is going to start getting cheesier by the day, okay? I can guarantee it. All right, and a reminder, the Get a Job Guide is here to help you find opportunities. I like to point out that, right, they're all the classic companies that everyone applies for, Stardock, Gaudium, right, Roblox, EA, Niantic, all that good stuff. But don't forget or sleep on these academic opportunities. They don't always pay the best, but there are labs across campus that, I kid you not, will hire you because you have Unity or Unreal or Blender skills. And they're a really great first job. They're a really great internship opportunity. No one applies to them because no one knows about them. Thus, you have less competition. It's an easier way to get that first internship. And if you ever think you want to go to grad school, it's way better than a normal internship, okay? You get a letter from them, you get a letter from me, and you basically only need one more letter from some academic to have everything you need for grad school application, okay? I kid you not, just reach out to these people, send them your game, send them a cool GIF, right? Tell them you're from Austin's class. Do you have any work? Do you need any Unity skills? And who knows what might happen. If they don't have an opportunity, they might know a colleague or another lab that does, okay? So, give it a shot. Job applications are a stochastic process. You can do everything right, and it just fails. You can do everything wrong, and you might still get the job. And so the real differentiator here is how many have you tried? You need to raise N as high as you can to overcome a low probability situation and tilt the odds in your favor, okay? So don't give up and keep going if you still want an opportunity, all right? Okay, P3 Beta has launched, and one of the big changes for P3 Beta is that you now have an additional professionalism criteria that will show up on your rubric, okay? When we grade your professionalism criteria, we're going to be looking for certain very specific things that you must have in some form, okay? And if you don't have them, we shift your column over and you lose points, okay? Scene transitions, right? Even the most advanced games from last week, grading last night, didn't tend to have these, or they tend to be broken, okay? When you want to go from the title scene, right, to, for instance, a tutorial scene, what you need to do is you need to have some sort of transition. What you see here is a basic fade to black, okay? Right here, fade to black, right? Then you have a really cool and unique idea, which is we're going to bring in this cool scarab. Anyone know what the scarab is? In the film Aladdin, which this game is based on, the scarab is an extremely important item and object that kind of sets a lot of the plot into motion, okay? So the scarab makes a cool appearance and then pieces out, and then we fade in from black to the new scene, okay? And so you need to have some sort of transition that is not just a jarring cmanager.load, go to new thing, right? In many of your games, you click on a button on the title screen and you just kind of pop into the new scene. It looks very jarring. It looks very cheap. It looks very student game, first, second week of development kind of thing, okay? It isn't super hard to implement this kind of stuff. Often, it is literally just have a game object that never goes away. Don't destroy on load. It's a canvas game object. And you have a black screen that you just fade in to block everything. While it's blocking your view of the world, you load the new scene. New scene is loaded. Take that black canvas panel and just fade it back out to full alpha so it's invisible, and you've just created a scene transition. That's the most basic type. That'll get you full points. Not very stylistic. If you have a game with a certain art style or a theme or a vibe, for instance, Cuphead, very old-timey style of game. It's trying to mimic old cartoons, and the way that old cartoons transition is often using circle fades. So here you have an example, circle fading to black, and then when we're ready, you can circle fade back in, okay? This game down here has a bunch of different fades, a hat in time. Anyone play this? It's a 3D platformer. The first thing it uses is kind of a wink fade. So let's watch this come in here. No, it uses like just a normal fade from black. Now it's going to use a wink fade, where it brings in top and bottom to kind of sandwich the wink to black. And then it comes into gameplay by doing a shape fade, which is where we see the silhouette of the main character, and it grows. So kind of like a circle fade, but it uses a specific shape. Watch this. It's kind of fast. Boom, right? Sonic uses a lot of those. If you play the old Sonic Adventure games, Sonic Heroes, they use a lot of shape fades. If you look in the course Canvas site, you'll find a shape fade that I programmed for you. It uses some interesting shaders, and you can customize kind of what shape you want to use. So you can find that in the course Canvas site, and you can just use it if you want to. The course repo. Sorry, the course GitHub repo. Okay, backgrounds and skyboxes. If you have a 2D game, it almost certainly will benefit from having a good sense of parallax and depth. One of the tough things in 2D game dev is taking a two-dimensional game, which kind of inherently has no depth to it, and giving that illusion of depth. How do we do that? Well, if you go to the top of a big mountain, all right, you'll notice a couple things, okay? Things that are close by are very vivid, right? But things that are further away tend to take on this kind of faded hue, okay? So color is a good way to indicate that something is further away. Why is this true? Well, when you've got a photon that bounces off of something like this island away in the distance, it bounces off the island. It has to go a long distance to get to your eyeball. And all those photons get kind of scattered by the atmosphere. If something is far away, there's more atmosphere that the photon has to kind of travel through. Thus, it gets scattered, and the image you see gets faded of that object. In other words, things that are close by and part of the gameplay are very vivid and saturated. Things that are far away are colored in a different style. It's less saturated. It's a little bit blurry maybe. Another thing is that when you are in a car, things that are right next to you on the road, like stop signs, other things, right, go by very quickly. Hopefully the stop sign doesn't go by quickly because you're maybe getting a ticket if that's the case. But things that are further away, like if you're driving in California or in the desert, things that are far away barely seem to move. They move very slowly. And if you look up at the stars or the moon, it appears to not be moving at all. Okay? Thus, there's a connection there. Things that are supposed to be further away from the camera, further away from your eyeball, need to move slowly when the camera moves. The way you implement this is by basically checking how has the camera moved on this frame. And if I'm far away, I actually want to move with the camera to kind of create this illusion that it's moving less, okay? So if you actually look at your camera object moving in the scene, things that are in the distance will kind of move with the camera, but slightly slower. This creates the impression that things are far away and they're barely moving, okay? So parallax is absolutely incredible. There's a tutorial on YouTube to just show you flat out how to implement this if you want to, and it's good stuff. Owlboy is a game that's all about open spaces, flying through the air, exploring a vast world. And so it was extremely important to get this right, and thankfully they did. It took 10 years to finish this game. It was made by 2 people. Thank goodness it came out and it was good. Okay? Because I've seen a lot of 10-year games that come out, and they're awful. Just terrible. Okay? And that's a really sad ending for that team. That team, Owlboy team, is sitting pretty, though. They did very well. All right, Hat in Time. Smooth, juicy cameras. We do not want to see cameras that are choppy and nasty. In some games, when you move, your character is a rigid body. When you move, the camera tries to follow, but it's like hitchy. It's very glitchy and very nasty. It's very jarring, and it can even make some players sick. We do not want that. We want our camera to be very smooth, like we see here. Camera jitter is a big problem. If you are ever if you have a camera that's following your player game object, and your player seems to do this, like they go back and forth a little bit, that's a big problem, and you want to solve that. So one of my more popular videos on YouTube, as far as you know, is actually a video on how to solve this. So there are ways you can solve this by getting your rigid body to move in certain ways, by configuring your rigid body, especially with the interpolate property, and then changing how your camera follows the rigid body. So you can get some example here, right? Watching this video, how many? Yeah, 38,000 views and lots of funny comments in the category comedy. Okay, haha. And you can kind of watch what I do to fix the problem there. And there's a Unity package that demonstrates the solution as well. I should probably link that in the video so all the people using the video can kind of fix their problems. The final thing is that you want to have some sense of cohesiveness in your fonts and your color palette, okay? A lot of you still using Arial font, okay? The problem with Arial font is that it feels like work. It feels like student project. It feels like I just started Unity. Everyone uses it, which is a big problem if you want your game to stand out or feel like effort was put into it. Color palettes are really interesting. So when you look at this Google logo, you probably in your brain have the sense that it's very pleasant, okay? If you go and just draw the same thing, but you just choose raw blue. What is raw blue? RGB, so 00255. It's gonna look awful. The colors will look very nasty, okay? It will be very unpleasant. If you look at what the colors of these characters are, they're actually, it's blue, but it's not pure blue. Okay, pure blue is 0000FF, okay? 00255 in RGB. Okay, this is red up here, but it's a very pleasant, nice, soft red. Just in the same way that the blue is soft, the red is soft, and it's not raw, nasty red. And we have black, but not pure black over here, for instance, on the buttons, okay? And so one kind of principle, this isn't really an art class, but in certain ways it is. One principle that you can use here is that you want to nail down your saturation and your brightness, but you want to let the hue vary, okay? Nail down 2 of those 3 things and let the final thing vary, and you'll have colors that feel like they work well together. If you don't know what I'm talking about, hue, saturation, brightness, this is a different model for representing colors than RGB, red, green, blue, okay? And if you're not an artist, you may not have heard of this kind of thing before, but you can kind of read about it. Well, I guess you can't, not there. But do a Google search for hue, saturation, and brightness, and you'll get some interesting discussions on it. There are many different ways to represent colors, and artists prefer a certain way, technologists prefer a different way, and when you're dealing with art concerns, you want to work in the artistic domain, okay? And I think I showed you games like Hazelnut Hex have a very nice color palette that is very unique. They limit the colors they're allowed to use, and they give each particular color a very well-defined purpose. For instance, in that game, red means danger. Shocker, right? That is the only part of the entire game that's allowed to use red. You have to use a different color if you want to do other things. Did you have a question? Comment? No? Okay. All right. I want to show you color generator. We're engineers, so this is something you might just want to go do. Go Google search a color generator online, and this will just give you a color palette, okay? So this is a color palette that will probably look very nice if your game is what? Give me a game theme or a setting that this color palette is probably perfect for. The Game Boy, okay, right? Game Boy, which used a lot of greens, okay? What else? When you see these colors, what do you feel? I feel cold. I feel super cold. This is a game set in the Arctic, okay? This is an Arctic exploration game. We're basically just gonna use everything's gonna be tinted kind of bluish, coldish, okay? We're gonna have a few things that are green, but we're gonna try and keep almost everything in our game in this color palette. And then when we break this color palette, it's gonna stand out like a sore thumb, okay? The enemies in the game are actually lava creatures. They're fire demons, okay? So they don't look like they belong in this game, and thus they pop, and so the player is not gonna have any problem distinguishing them from the environment, and they're gonna wanna go and do combat with the fire demons who are trying to melt down our nice, lovely Arctic. There you go. Like, that's how you use a color palette in a way that's very distinctive. Makes your game really pop. At the showcase, nothing else looks like it. It also helps with gameplay, okay, and reading what's going on. So all of these elements of professionalism are things we're going to kind of look at. I think the color palette thing is one we usually kind of don't apply super harshly. yeah, you want to be thinking about these things. And if you do, it'll make your game feel much more professional, because usually students do not care about this kind of thing, or they're so busy fixing bugs that they don't have the time to care. Okay. But yeah, you can get it done. I know you can. Okay. Another thing that's really important to you is if you look at our schedule, hopefully it looks better on your screen than mine. The schedule indicates that I believe the trailer launched on Monday. Is that true? Yes, it did. The trailer, your P3 marketing draft, you only have 7 more days to work on it. Okay. So your game is really probably coming in hot. A lot of things are changing. You're adding juice. You're improving the aesthetics and visuals of your game. You're adding maybe a final feature or 2, hopefully not too many. Now we need to be very, very careful about how we talk about the game. How do we show the game off? How do we get people excited? In this trailer assignment, you're making a draft. You are going to redo this trailer. You're going to re-record new footage, right? Because your game's going to look much better in a couple weeks. And your mission is just to figure out what is the premise of our trailer. What ideas do we have for cool footage, things we could show? How do we talk about the trailer? How do we get people pumped, right? What is exciting about our game? Okay, how do we talk about it? If you do this right, people will go nuts for your game, okay? When big new game reveals happen at industry expos like E3 or GDC, like people will stand on their chairs because they're so damn excited about what you are making, okay? I think this is the team responding to the Final Fantasy VII Remake announcement. They're on their chairs. They can't believe it. Fantastic trailer. Drives incredible hype, okay? Good sales. Nintendo, whenever they do a Nintendo Direct, which they do about quarterly, they recently had one. They had a couple, one of them on the new Switch 2. What actually happens is the trailers are so hype that Nintendo fans will flock to New York City to go to the Nintendo World Store and watch on the big screen with all their Nintendo fans, right? So if you do this right, it's really, really important. If you do this wrong, you could end up risking misrepresenting your product, and you end up in a no man's sky situation, okay? But we don't have to worry about that too much. What I want to show you is just a couple trailers that you didn't see during our first lecture. You probably remember Buccaneer Booty Battle, right? How does this game succeed? Well, in the first few seconds. Okay, the amazing thing about this trailer is that it accomplishes like 5 things at once. Number 1, within seconds, you have the pirate vibe, right? It's like a sea shanty, okay? This is a pirate game. It's fantastic. And it also explains the game's mechanics. It helps you understand what the game is. And while the lyrics are talking about the game, you see the thing they're talking about. So aim and shoot and sail and pass. And you see someone get shot. You see a cool pass, right? You see people sailing around. It's completely amazing, all right? Did you see Yoked? Did you see this one? Did you see this one? No? Okay, this is the game that got the 5-figure publishing deal after they did the showcase. Let's take a look. Pay attention to how does it get you interested, and then pay attention to how it delivers information about the game. It goes from hooking you with something interesting or weird or exciting or funny, and then the middle part of the trailer explains what is this game. Okay, it hooks you first, then it delivers the information. Okay? Okay, so how does this trailer work? How does this try and get you hooked? The audience is going to see 20 plus trailers in 2 weeks, okay? How does this trailer get you to remember it? How does it hook you? What did the team try?
It's like kind of funny.
It's kind of funny. What's funny about it?
It's a goofy premise.
Well, the premise is very well chosen, but that's just the game. What did the team do uniquely for the trailer? Any idea? It might be hard to know this unless you've played the game. What did they do? Yes. The 911 call. This is an emergency. What's your emergency, sir? The eggs, they're moving. And you got this scary music. It's tense. Oh my God. Is this a horror game? It's not. For the most part, it's not. There are a couple things in the game. There's some spooky lore in the game that's a bit weird. And I like it a lot. But this is a very unique way to start a trailer. They usually don't start with a 911 emergency call. Okay, and they got voice actors in here. They went to the voice acting club and they got actual professional voice actors. Okay, the eggs, they're moving. And then you see it. Duh! Are those arms? Oh my God. Okay, they created this shot right here, this animation, just for the trailer. Okay, because it's that important. Often on actual industry game teams, you will have engineers building features and cheat codes and special scenes and camera modes just to help the marketing team capture unique special footage just for the trailer, okay? In fact, that was one of the first things I did on the Sims team was I had to go in and start creating a bunch of cheat codes so that the trailer team could then go in and record cool footage. Like, we need cool footage, so we need certain things to happen at certain times. We need cheat codes to force those things to happen. So I went in and built those for the team. It was worth it, okay? In the middle section, the vibe kind of changes, and it's really kind of about explaining the mechanics of the game. What is this game? What can you do? At the very end of the trailer, there's one final hook, okay? It's the hook sandwich. We get to see our egg explode, right? Boom, right? It's very dramatic. It's very exciting. It's good stuff, okay? I want to show you this trailer, Lights Out. Let's take a look.
Lights Out, the story of a small light bulb on a big mission. You must traverse through the dark house in this adventure puzzle-solving platform. Use your powers of electricity to access hard-to-reach places, defeat enemies, and light up the house. Solve puzzles to collect gears and open new areas. Along your journey, you can meet all types of enemies, but what could be lurking in the basement? Make your way through the dark in Lights Out.
We see a similar structure to the previous trailer. First, the hook. Then, what is this game? The hook, the what, and then the why at the very end. Kind of a second hook that explains why should you play this game, okay? What mysteries are in this game? What is there left to see? Why should you run out and play this right now, the first game you play? Okay, so tell me right now, how does this trailer, what is its unique idea to hook the player, to hook the viewer? You can't look away. What does it do? Come on, yes?
It's got like the real life shot.
Yes, live action footage. Not very common. I really like it. Super cheesy, very fun. What does it do? It records some footage of the main character, but in real life, right? And the moment, it's got a cool vibe. They even animate it. They even animate it coming down and falling off. I think you can see a little wire they have right here to try and shake it loose and then to send it down. So they put a lot of effort into this, and you can't look away, right? You are instantly hooked. You got to know more. What is this game? The team's working so hard on this trailer. It looks great. And then a pretty seamless transition into gameplay. The game, the trailer then spends time explaining exactly what this is. What genre is the game? What are the mechanics of the game? What is your objective in the game? And they just say it straight up. It's good.
Lights Out, the story of a small light bulb on a big mission. You must traverse through the dark house in this adventure puzzle-solving platform. Use your powers of electricity to access hard-to-reach places.
Right? Once you are hooked and interested, then the team can successfully deliver the information. What is this game? Okay, really important to do that. Otherwise, we don't know what it is. We're not going to go buy it. We're not going to go play it. And then at the very end, how do they hook you one last time? What do? Do you remember what they do? They're done explaining what the game is, but they're going to get you excited one last time as the trailer ends. What do?
Well, what's in the basement?
You know what this game is now, but what could be lurking in the basement? That cool final boss fight. It's going to be awesome, right? The biggest problem I have with this trailer is that it says, but what could be lurking in the basement? And then it just shows you. It shows you. And so it's like, oh, I guess I don't have to play the game now because you just showed me, right? No, often what you'll do instead is you'll like flash like a hint of the final boss, but it's shadowy. It's like, right? I'm waiting for you, player. Come challenge me. And it works super well that way. But this is still a really great trailer. Did I show you Rekindle? Rekindle? This is a really good one. Oh, I did show this one to you. Okay. Dashing Bears. Did I show you this one? I did? Okay. What else can I show you here? We need a really good one. I'm a Chopstick is a really cool one. You can watch all these on your own as well. It Might Snowball. Did I show you this one? This is another great one. It has the same structure and it works super well. Scribe Pappies. Did I show you, gosh. I want to show you Rocketeers. Did I show you Rocketeers? Okay, here we go. Keep that structure in mind. The hook, the what, the why. Okay? Or you can also say the hook, the what, the second hook. All right? Let's watch. See if you can identify them as you watch this trailer.
Introducing Rocketeers, a 2D 2v2 game where you can build the spaceship of your dreams. Or not. Fight to defend your creation. This is Rocketeers. Coming to an expo near you.
Okay. What is the hook? What do they do? Let's go. Come on, quick. Yes?
Building rockets.
Well, how did they hook you? The game is about building rockets, but they did something in the beginning to spice the trailer up, to get you interested, to get you hooked. What was it?
Or not. They have to figure it out.
Yeah, they used humor. They show you some footage. Build the rocket ship of your dreams. Okay, build the rocket ship of your dreams. Or not. Okay, you can build some abomination of a rocket, and that works too. Okay, so they use a bit of humor, okay, and good timing here, a nice little pan out, or a nice little zoom out. And then we move into the what is this game phase, where we get a very brief explanation, right? Build your rocket, fight to defend it. Okay, and they show you a lot of footage of this happening. They finish the trailer with a second hook. What do? They show you an epic conclusion in which an explosion happened, a team wins, and they use more humor to close it out, right? So people will read this and they see it's a bunch of fake, nice things. A lot of people suspect that bullet points on like a website or the back of the box or like on a DVD are more or less faked, and so this is leaning into that, and people enjoy it. Okay, let's. I haven't watched this one in a while. Let's watch Prehistoric Panic. See if you can identify those three parts you must have that you'll be graded on. The hook, the what, the why. Let's watch.
The volcano is erupting. A wall of lava is headed down the valley. Join Kronk, Kran, Cooley, and Chloe in this 4-player cooperative game. Gather resources. Build bridges. Fight dinosaurs. Work together to outrun the deadly lava and make it to safety on the other side of the valley. This is Prehistoric Panic.
Okay. What was the hook? What gets you interested right away in this trailer?
Volcano.
Yes, you get a cutscene, right? Cutscenes, kind of rare in student game projects. You get this nice, cool cutscene. It shows you lava coming. The volcano is erupting, right? Work together to escape, right? And then the center part, it shows you all the different things you can do. Cut down trees, build a bridge, fight dinosaurs. And then it kind of closes out by showing you all 4 players doing it at the same time. I would say kind of a weak why. The final section is a little bit weak, but it's still a great trailer, okay? That does just a fine job, okay? Anything else I can show you? Blah, 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 blah. EECS Infiltration, I already showed you that one. Okay, I'm going to show you this one, Sneak Robber. Have you seen Sneak Robber? Okay, this is a trailer that I'll say is a bit scuffed, but it might be one of my favorites ever because it uses humor. If you can get the audience to laugh, you've won, okay? People are going to love your game. They're going to run out to play it. Okay, let's watch. Remember, what is the hook? Where does it introduce the ideas, the informative part, the what, and then how does it close out, the why? Okay, let's take a look.
When darkness has fallen, to robbers sneak into a shiny house. Whoa, so many treasures here. Hurry up, let's grab them all. But danger lurks around every corner. This house is so weird. Let's grab the last one and then leave. Oh my god! Run!
Sneak Robber is a 3D multiplayer strategy game. As a robber, you must steal treasure from a haunted house while avoiding capture. As a ghost, you must chase a robber using invisibility. In the battle of spring and evil, who will get the last laugh?
Okay, so what is the hook? What is the hook of this trailer? Right? Why are people going to remember Sneak Robber after watching 20 trailers? It's going to be, I want to play that one with the ghost, right? Why are they going to say that? Come on. Just say it. Yep.
You see the scary ghost, then you hear the person scream.
Yeah. Oh, we should grab the last one. Oh my God, ghost, run! Right? And it comes at the screen. It's the cheesiest thing you've ever seen. It doesn't look that great, but the enthusiasm, right? You get into it. The developers are having a good time. You're having a good time. The game builds up this premise, okay, for the first quarter of the trailer. Then it gives you a special camera angle that you cannot get in normal gameplay right here. Don't underestimate the value of giving players unique, diverse camera work, okay? The team programmed special camera technology just to get this shot, okay? And it was worth it. If all your game footage looks the exact same, it's from this normal gameplay camera angle, it's going to look terrible, it's going to look boring, people will go to sleep, okay? Then, after we got the hook done, which takes the first half of the trailer, okay, it's that important, I guess, then you finally get the important stuff. Sneak Robber is a 3D multiplayer strategy game in which you need to avoid capture while stealing treasure, but if you're the ghost, you need to go capture things. You can use invisibility to do it, okay? At the very end, there's this nice and cheesy, in the battle of greed versus evil, who will get the last laugh, right? That's some good cheese, okay? People love cheese at the showcase, so do it if you can, all right? Okay, I'll show you one final one, but I'm not going to dissect this one. You have to do this one yourself. Yes?
Are we allowed to use
No.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you get permission, like the It Might Snowball team did.
Hello, would you like to hear a story? It's about us, the good-looking, wrench-swinging junkyard champions, against those two-timing boot-licking son of a guns. In the battle of our lives, we had to fight to steal their scrap to build a rocket to the moon. We were the Scrap Habits.
In this one, the voice acting and the delivery does a lot of heavy lifting. Okay, it serves as a hook right away. The gameplay footage is one of its weaker elements, right? It shows you things you don't need to see. It has text and UI elements that are distracting, but the camera at least does zoom in to show you things that are important when it's being talked about. Okay, so that is good. All right. Anyway, I encourage you to view these trailers if you are lacking in inspiration, if you don't know what to do. There are a lot of amazing ones out there, and you can find them on eeks494.com. You need to go get a professional voice actor. Okay, you don't need to pay for it. There are a lot of voice actors who, for student projects, for non-commercial projects, will just collab with you to get portfolio work. Okay, you can go to the Voice Acting Club forums or Casting Call Club or even the school music, theater, and dance to find professional voice actors who have recording equipment. They can get a very nice, crisp voice. They're very good at putting on a character if you request a certain character. You can send them a script, and your trailer will be dramatically better if you do this. Okay, I do not recommend trying to voice act it yourself unless you have a background in that stuff and can do a good job. If you want to, there's a recording booth in Groundworks. Definitely use it if you're going to record stuff yourself. Do not use your laptop mic. But if you do use your laptop mic, use Audacity to remove noise from the background of your recording. Okay, otherwise it'll sound awful. Okay, all right. So any questions on that homework assignment? Okay, good, very good. One of the topics I want to talk about today is the topic of games and education. If this seems a little bit like, oh, why education? Well, education is one of those places where games have an enormous impact. And education is one of those fields where the stakes are incredibly high. There's a ton of money in it. There's a very good chance that if you work in games but not on games, right? If you work in a game-adjacent job, there's a very good chance you'll be connected to technology, to education in some way. Creating visualizations, creating education kind of style games, stuff like that. Training simulations, stuff like that, okay? I want to talk about all this stuff and the history of games and education and whether games are inherently educational. Is it meaningful to call something an educational game? Well, we're going to do that in just a little bit because I want to take our 5-minute break first. So I'll throw some music on. Go ahead and take a break. We'll see you in 5 minutes to talk about games and education. All right?
Live action. 2 people studying for a physics exam, fall asleep, and then the rest of the trailer is about how you help your people. But one person keeps screwing up and they hate each other. And then it's all about drawn together. But then you're pulled apart because one person is like trash. And they're like pushing you down. So could be kind of fire. Then like my like I really kind of a podcast. So we lost it on. It's all about like not working out. Like, yeah, oh yeah, you just like
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. Okay. As I heard just walking around the room, these trailers require a lot of planning, and in this draft trailer, you're trying to get that planning nailed down. You're trying to get something in so you can figure out what works, what doesn't, what is the pacing of our trailer, what should we talk about at what time, what footage should we use at certain moments when things are being said. If you figure this stuff out, you'll create a great experience, okay? Designing a film is in many ways similar to designing a game. It's just you have a lot more control over a film, whereas in a game, you have to deal with the idea that a player might just go stare at the corner of the room for 5 minutes straight, and the game still has to be appealing when they do this. Anyway, I've got a description of a product, and I want you to tell me what product I'm talking about. What exactly am I talking about here? The goal of this product is to engage users on a particular topic, okay? This product has scoring methods in it very often, okay? It often involves points. It involves progression, okay? You gain experience as you do the thing, okay? The general design approach is that you want a difficulty curve that kind of escalates over time. It allows for practice, and then it starts escalating the stakes, and eventually it wants to test your mastery, okay, to prove that you've learned something, okay? The users of this product, well, sometimes they use it alone, but sometimes users do it as a team. Sometimes the users do this competitively. So they're kind of against each other a little bit in the grand scheme of things, okay? The cost is going to be pretty pricey, okay? Like, this is an expensive product to engage with in terms of money, but also in terms of the time required, okay? And my question to you is, what on earth am I describing?
This class.
This class? Yeah, probably. What else could I be describing? Because it could be the case that I'm describing not one thing, but multiple, okay? So it is time for us to talk about education and games, all right? Have you ever seen this image before? If you haven't, you'll be seeing it again soon, okay? Education, it's a really, really big deal, okay? And you might not fully grasp just how big it is. In some ways, it is all you've really known for most of your life thus far. You all are still kind of in the first quarter of your life, and education has been everything to you, okay? In many ways, at least. The governor in 2022 signs a budget for $22 billion dedicated just for education. Now, that's education for supporting college programs. That's also education to support basically the entire budgets of high schools, of middle schools, okay, of elementary schools and stuff like that, okay? For reference, the entire budget of the state of Michigan was $84 billion in 2021. That is to say that education made up around a quarter of the entire budget for a pretty large state, okay? That is an enormous amount of money. That's an enormous amount of focus, okay, for a single entity to put on education. It's just that important. If you look out there, some of the world's largest companies, ones you might remember, like Scholastic, okay, what do? You remember them for anything in your educational career? Yeah, they create a lot of books. They create a lot of educational materials. They are worth billions of dollars, okay? They have revenues you can look up of many millions of dollars per quarter. It is incredible, okay? Wow. The University of Michigan has a lot of money in its pockets. Do you know how much? How big is the U of M endowment? Does anyone know? Have you looked it up lately? It's a lot. $17 billion. And this is money they just kind of have on the back burner. The way that some endowments work is that you basically have a big chunk of cash that you invest in stock market or in some sort of security, like stocks, bonds, whatever. And if you're really smart, ETFs and diversified stuff like that. But U of M parks $17 billion in securities, which give them like 3%, 4%, 5% per year for doing nothing. And they use that money that just flows in infinitely to fund things like scholarships, laboratories, new buildings, stuff like that. Okay, Harvard, I think, has a $50 billion endowment. Okay, so gigantic. All right, and so education is very big. It is no joke. There is some serious firepower, okay, behind education in many different ways, and it really does make sense. People, human beings who go to college will often spend the first 20 plus years of their life just trying to learn and become productive members of society. Okay? This is to say that a human being isn't that useful, really, until they're a quarter of the way through their lifespan. That is an enormous amount of time for a human being to be kind of consuming resources instead of producing them. Very soon, you will all graduate and you'll make that transition. You'll become very productive members of of society and the world, and you'll start to kind of pay a lot of that back. Maybe some of you are even paying back loans, and so it's a very physical, real thing, okay, for you to pay that back. But anything we could do to shorten this, okay, we can either shorten the amount of time it takes to learn something, or we can allow you to learn more in that amount of time. And if we can do that even a little bit across the society, then we can have a dramatic impact on the wealth and productivity of the society overall, okay? And so, how can we do it? Anyone got any ideas? Anyone have any special skills that could come in handy here? I want to show you one of my favorite scenes from one of my favorite films. Has anyone seen the film The Matrix? Okay. Fantastic action film that still holds up today in its special effects. It was groundbreaking when it released in 1999. the film has a surprising amount to say if you look under the hood. It has a lot of ideas that it kind of introduces you to and shows you multiple perspectives on. I have to watch this film twice per year for the rest of my life because of EECS 440, in which it is one of the films we study during that class, a cultural assignment. I want to show you this scene right here, which shows a future vision of what education could be when technology is sufficiently advanced, okay? And it has a lot of implications and a lot of interesting ideas for what it means to learn something, okay? So I want to show you this film, this scene, okay? So let's take a look. This is probably going to get this recording blocked on YouTube, but I'll fix that if I need to. Let's take a look.
Supposed to start these operation programs first. That's Major Daughter Shed. It's just a little more fun. How about commentary? Jiu-jitsu. I'm going to learn jiu-jitsu. Holy shit. You might get think he likes it. How about some more? Hell yes. Hell yeah. How was he? 10 hours straight. He's a machine. I know about food.
Show me. This is a sparring program, similar to the programmed reality of the Matrix. It has the same basic rules like gravity. What you must learn is that these rules are no different from the rules of a computer system. Some of them can be bent. Others can be broken. Understand? Then hit me, if you can.
Okay, how does Neo learn martial arts in this clip? People spend their entire lives studying that topic, and yet how much time did he spend? How much time? Tell me, right now. 10 hours. Just a single day. And if you saw, he learned not just one martial art, but many different types of martial arts as well. In this clip that follows, you'll actually see Neo switch between a bunch of different famous fighting styles. It's very cool. I bet the choreography for that was very difficult for the actors and the directors. But he learns a martial art in about 10 seconds. In fact, less than that. He is plugged in, they load the program, it goes, and he comes out and it's like, holy crap, right? In this film, if you don't have context, if you've not seen The Matrix, you definitely should. The human beings live in a dystopian society that is nevertheless advanced enough that they can plug their brains into software, and thus they can enter the Matrix, enter the simulation, mess with the simulation. They can also load training programs that will poke and prod and manipulate the electrical signals in their brain in just the right fashion to form the connections needed in order to get the memories you need, get the experience you need in there, and to teach you something very fast. Imagine what 2025 would look like if this technology were a thing. Would I have a job? I'd be completely okay with not having a job because I think that having free and very quick access to knowledge like this could be a very powerful, impactful thing, right? Riddle me this. What does it mean to get hacked in a world where you're plugged in? Okay, we can put knowledge into your brain very quickly, but what if we forcefully put certain knowledge into your brain that maybe isn't so accurate, actually, or maybe isn't so helpful. We could do some very interesting things, couldn't we? It's a little bit scary to think about. A question for you as well. Do you notice how Neo responds? Neo goes in, learns, and he's exhausted, right? He's like, oh my gosh, what was that, right? And then what does he say? Does he want to quit? He's like, this isn't so great. This is boring, like reading a textbook, right? What does he say? He says what? How about more? And then he says what? He doesn't say yes. He says, hell yes. Whew, let's go. Hell yes. He said it twice. Okay? He's like, dang, I get some more of that. Okay? He loves it. He just learned a ton and he wants more. In fact, he wants it so badly, he's going to do this for how long? 10 hours straight. This man is a machine. You can see beads of sweat on his forehead and still he cannot get enough. All right? So I've got a question for you. This doesn't exist today. Or does it? Because I've never seen someone go home and grind a chemistry textbook for 10 hours straight. But you know what I have seen people grind for 10 hours straight like it is nothing? Tell me right now. I want you to tell me right now. Video games. Okay? If you dare to launch Civilization 5, okay, you can play that game like it's nothing for 10 hours straight. I have played it literally all night and not slept as a grown adult, okay, and enjoyed every moment of it, okay? And yet, you can say, well, Austin, that's just a dumb video game. You're not learning anything. Well, I'll tell you this. I was much better at Civ 5 after that session than I was before. And Civ 5 has a lot of decisions to make. We went over that in our game design lecture earlier in the course. And a lot of those decisions actually do model some of the geopolitical decisions that world leaders face today. What are my access to resources? What kind of allies do I have? What is my relationship like with them? Is my society too big to manage, or should I make it smaller? Or maybe I do need to expand because one of my neighbors is expanding, and maybe there'll be some conflict in the future. Okay? And so who's to say that that 10-hour Civ session wasn't actually injecting things into my brain in the same way that we see in the Matrix? And who's to say it wasn't useful? It's very interesting to think about, okay? This right here is what educators around the world are chasing. They want to be able to teach people faster. They want to be able to teach difficult topics in a way that keeps people engaged. If you can hook people, if you can get them to believe in and get excited about a topic, then you can hook them just like Civilization 5 does. And once you've got people hooked, just like once you've got the trailer hooking people, then you can deliver whatever you want. And they'll take it very quickly. Okay? And so there's a lot of money that tries to help you do this. Okay? A lot of research today, have you heard of this term? Have you heard of the term gamification? Anyone? Gamification. How do we take a boring subject like chemistry with all its nasty textbooks that no one wants to read? We have to kind of force them to read it. We have to threaten people with point deductions and nasty quizzes and exams to get people to study this. And how do we gamify chemistry education so that people want to dive in? Okay? One of the cool things is that if you get people hooked and interested in a topic, then actually my job can be done. Because I know that if I can hook you on something that's interesting and you're engaged and you're kind of excited about it, it's kind of cool, you'll go home and learn far more than I could ever teach you. I don't have that much time with you. You have a ton of time to learn at home. Maybe you go find some video essays on YouTube. Maybe you read a book. Maybe you do some of your own experiments. Getting people hooked is the most essential idea in education from my perspective, because it leads to so much learning that the student then does on their own. This is the NSF project called Prisms of Reality. This is a team, a virtual reality team, a Unity team, that was granted $250,000 and 2 years to make a game on pandemic research, okay? A game on public health education. I'm going to show you this game, and I want you to think, number one, if you got 2 years instead of 6 weeks and $250,000 instead of nothing to make this game, like, could you do a better job? It's fun to think about. Let's take a look. This is Pandemic by Prisms. You'll notice it has no user reviews at all. So that's some money well spent right there. Let's take a look.
Good afternoon. Today I'm declaring a state of emergency in our city. Over the last couple of weeks, we have seen an alarming rise in the number of infections from an unknown virus.
This Prisms algebra learning game enables kids, parents, and teachers to deepen their understanding of exponential functions through a problem that's affecting all of our lives today, a global pandemic. Your critical mission on this task force is to determine the number of weeks until our hospitals reach capacity.
Okay, that's Pandemic by Prisms. What do you think? Could you make that? Raise your hand if you think you could make something like that. I know you know no VR, but if I gave you 2 years to figure it out and $250,000, yeah, I think you all could, okay? This project, as far as I can see, is a total flop. It got $250,000 of my money, and they didn't spend it very well, okay? If any of you go into public service, like this is the kind of thing that lowers faith in the system if a failure like this happens. So you got to be very careful about how money is spent and that it does achieve impact. Because this makes me salty just kind of looking at it. Okay, I'll try not to be too salty. Okay, so there is money in this kind of thing, right? And researchers all over the world are trying to figure out how to harness game design principles to make things more immersive, to make topics that are boring interesting, because they have seen what games are really, really good at, and they wonder why they can't do the same thing, okay? And so I've got some questions for you, my educational journey, actually. I'm going to show you a few different games, and I want you to tell me which one of these was the game that kind of sort of taught me how to read, that got me super engaged on the topic of reading at a very young age, okay? Some of these might be familiar to you, okay? Some might be obscure. Was it Reader Rabbit? Anyone remember Reader Rabbit? Reader Rabbit's still around? Maybe, maybe not. It's a very popular educational game series. You'd go to the computer lab, and chances are your school had Reader Rabbit installed. You could play Reader Rabbit. You could learn to spell, and it was really cool. Was it Jumpstart First Grade Reading? Anyone play that? Was it Reading Blaster? You've probably heard of Math Blaster. Did you know there was a reading spin-off game? Or was it Pokemon Red? Gotta Catch 'em All. It feels like one of these is a little bit different than the others. It's that one on the right, right? Yeah, when I was growing up, Pokemon Red, the original Pokemon games were just coming out. And if you want to have any friends on the playground, you had to play this game. Okay, it was awesome. You wanted to be trading Pokemon with your friends. The problem, though, is that this game has a massive amount of text in it. It's an RPG, right? While the writing is pretty basic, okay, it doesn't use a lot of fancy words. It still uses quite a few of them. And for instance, you need to know how to sound this out and pronounce each letter if you want to know what cool monster this is. Gyarados, right? Crazy. I have a vivid memory, one of my earlier memories in my life, of playing Pokemon Red, not being able to read, walking around confused, but I would see the cool Pokemon go, oh, it's so awesome. And I would have to take my Game Boy up to my uncle, and my uncle would read it for me and tell me what the letters were. It was like, oh, it's Gyarados. Oh, crazy. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. I never got to Gyarados. I think it was like Charmander. Oh my gosh, so cute. What a cute name. Okay. And it was great. And I loved the game. And I had a very strong incentive to go figure out and take my reading seriously, because otherwise I wasn't going to play the game. And if I didn't play the game, I wasn't going to have friends. And, the incentive was there. And the reward was there as well. Okay. I had no problem learning how to read after that. Okay. What about mathematics and econ? Okay. Magnificent Maths, a game so obscure, an educational game so obscure I couldn't find a screenshot of it. I still wonder what this game looks like. Meant for ages 7 to 8, okay? Zumbini's Logical Journey. Now this is, when I first started teaching, all the hands would go up immediately. Okay, this was like 2017. One of the big problems I have is that my references become more outdated with every semester that goes by. Pretty soon people will just see me as a dinosaur up here with weird old games that don't matter, right? No, they still matter. Okay, was it Math Missions K through 2? Don't you dare play this if you're in 3rd grade, okay? Or was it Roller Coaster Tycoon, a game in which you build your own theme park from scratch? You have to fund it. You have to take out loans to do so. You have to weigh the profit and finances of each ride and eliminate the ones that are not making you money. You have to hire staff and figure out how much you're going to pay them. Which game do you think got me hooked on the topic? And I'm guessing you can say which, okay? Roller Coaster Tycoon is not a game you would ever describe as an educational game. Why? Because Roller Coaster Tycoon is obscenely educational. And in fact, you're going to want to play this game. And the fact that you get hooked by it is what makes it so educational. Unlike the rest of these games, which people will play out of obligation, people will play Roller Coaster Tycoon because it's good stuff, okay? And there's a lot of things you can do. You can experiment. You can make decisions. Sometimes it goes bad. Sometimes it goes really well, okay? So ask yourself right now, what makes Roller Coaster Tycoon work? And what makes the rest of these merely educational games? Who buys these games on the left? What is the target market for these games on the left versus this game on the right? Who buys these games on the left? Tell me right now. Schools. Who else? Parents. And I can think of nothing less cool than that. Okay, who buys the game on the right? Who buys this game? Me. Yeah. You want an awesome game that is sick and you're going to really like? I don't care who you are. You buy Roller Coaster Tycoon. You're probably going to love that game. Okay? And you're going to learn a lot. So ask yourself, what is the difference between a game and an educational game? Okay? What about the topic of astronomy? What burned astronomy into my head, helped me ace that quiz in my science class? Well, have you ever played a game called Final Fantasy VII? Because at the very final boss of this game, there's an attack that once you've seen it, you'll never ever forget it. This attack is amazing because of the ideas that it presents. And these ideas actually are real, genuine, real-life ideas. Let's see how many you can spot. This is one like 5-minute long attack from Sephiroth, the final boss of Final Fantasy VII. And as soon as you get attacked by this attack, you can never forget about it. Okay, let's check it out. After these messages. Okay, and then it fails to KO even a single member of your party. Interestingly, this attack is actually programmed to do 90%, I think, of your total HP, which means that if you're at full health, you cannot die to this attack. It is not possible, which is very interesting for an attack that looks like it's ending the universe. This is like the kind of attack that is so long, like you're in deep shit when, as a kid, you see the like equations showing up on the screen. Okay, like, oh my God, what is going on? Okay, you talk about a hook. You haven't seen any of this business in the entire game, the 40-hour RPG, and suddenly all this math starts getting thrown at you. I think one of these, the famous Drake equation, which is like relates the probability of humanity being alone in the universe. It's the kind of equation you'll study that's very interesting once you discover it exists, and you can go. It has its own Wikipedia page, I think, and very interesting kind of philosophical equation. And when you talk about it, you learn about it in the Aliens, like 1-credit class here at the University of Michigan. In any case, this attack, in part, is so memorable because it has a bunch of actual, real-deal astronomical effects that it draws inspiration from. For instance, do you know how the Earth is most likely to end? Actually, scientists know the Earth is in big trouble in a few billion years. Why? Supernova, possibly. That's actually the name of the attack. But that's not how most scientists think that we're going to go down. If we last long enough, the sun is going to do something. Yes. Yes. The sun, being a star, is eventually going to run out of energy. And as it begins to run out of energy, it's going to collapse and then, I think actually it's going to go red dwarf, it's called. It's going to expand slowly. And it's going to consume much of the solar system before it then collapses and then goes supernova. But basically, the Earth, if it doesn't change its location, is going to get consumed by a expanding sun. And what do we see in this attack? Okay, that's exactly what happens. It's just Sephiroth causes it to happen a bit early. Do you know the Jupiter is. Jupiter, the largest planet in our solar system. Do you know what it is made of? Yes. It's a gas giant. And when we see Sephiroth's projectile attack, right, go into the Milky Way. By the way, if you've forgotten, that's where we live, okay? That's what it looks like. It goes into the Milky Way. If you ever wondered what Saturn's rings are made of, you get to see, oh, it's just a bunch of asteroids and dust and stuff and ice. Yeah, exactly. And Saturn's rings get destroyed by Sephiroth. He's just wreaking havoc on our entire solar system here. That's how you prove a character's powerful, by the way. This is Jupiter, okay? Did you know that Jupiter is a gas giant, which is why the bullet just goes straight through it in this almost humorous display? It then explodes. This probably isn't what would happen because Jupiter does have a core in the center, but much of it is gas. So that part is accurate, okay? What is the order of the planets? Do you have any idea? If you get to that question on the quiz and you forget, you just say, oh, wait a second, Sephiroth's attack, right? Okay, right, so Pluto was way out there, and then we're getting to like Saturn, and then Jupiter. Uranus is not there, so I have to guess at that one. But what's the closest one to the sun? You remember which planet bites it first in this attack? Mercury gets absolutely wrecked by the sun. When the sun begins to expand, reminding us that this is how the solar system is going to end one day, probably, Mercury gets absolutely wrecked, okay? So Venus is next in line. And then which one gets wrecked next? Or it's Earth. Uh-oh. And it's so ominous. Talk about an amazingly put together, well-directed cutscene. It's like as soon as we get to Earth, we get this dramatic pan with the great music coming in. It's so ominous and dark. And we see this thing coming in right behind the boss, like, oh yeah, right? Power. And it's just inching its way closer and closer to the players, the protagonists, and then boom, right? A glorious supernova, beautiful nebula effect. Incredible, right? Incredible. People still remember this game today. It really did change the entire industry for many reasons. But the important thing here is that this game seems like it's just a dumb boss fight with a cool attack. Part of what makes it cool is that it is real and it has ideas that matter, okay? They matter so much, you will be taught them in your grade school. Being taught them in this fashion is way more memorable than being taught in a dumb textbook, okay? All right, what about, I don't know, any relevant topics lately? What about pandemics? What about public health, okay? Before the COVID-19 pandemic made it a super hot topic, there was a very popular game that was already teaching people about how it would play out, okay? This game is called Plague Inc.
Commencing autopsy 3. Time, 21:04. 27-year-old female infected with unknown pathogen. Blood analysis indicates virus. Provisional name is PAX-12. Deceased had traveled in China before returning home 2 weeks ago. That must have been pre-quarantine. Unknown if had contact with livestock, but I can definitely see evidence of insect bites. Deceased had reported coughing and sneezing with a high fever. I'm seeing a nasty rash, some abscesses around the abdominal cavity. Clear signs of immune suppression. Cause of death appears to be catastrophic organ failure. Findings match reports coming out of China. This is highly concerning. The deceased may still be infectious. I'm halting the autopsy in order to notify the authorities. Request a full lockdown of this facility. Effective immediately.
That's a really good trailer, right? The game, this trailer, just a quick talk on the trailer, it combines storytelling and context setting with providing information, right? the team said, should we just have a narrator, generic, just saying what the game is, or can we somehow give context to all of this? Yes, no, it's not going to be a generic narrator. It's going to be a scientist who is discovering a disease. And he's going to explain the mechanics of the game and what the game is about by just talking in a natural sense in the way that a person would, okay, in this situation. Again, this is a game that came out before the pandemic. And it's amazing how kind of creepily similar the description of the disease in the trailer is to the pandemic, right? And so if you were curious, the game does have COVID-19 DLC. And if that seems a little bit tasteless, you should know that it's a complete charity DLC. So it was just going to coronavirus relief and stuff like that. So probably a pretty good idea. But this game, if you play this game, you'll discover a lot of very interesting and very real aspects to disease propagation, pandemics, how they work, what happens during them. In this game, you are trying to eliminate humanity. And as it turns out, that's actually really hard to do. Has anyone played this game? Why is it actually surprisingly hard to eliminate all of humanity? What do the humans start to do? Yes?
You start to like quarantine.
Yeah. As soon as you start to actually kill people, if you're just common cold, no one cares. But as soon as you develop and mutate symptoms that start to kill people, they start locking stuff down hard, okay? And what is a very easy way to lose this game? Yeah.
Too deadly, too fast.
You get too deadly too fast, right? You mutate and become very nasty and very publicly nasty way too fast. Where does humanity, what happens if you can't get to, for instance, the island nations? Okay? What happens if you infect everyone, but like Greenland has locked down their ports and you can't get over there? What happens? What happens to you?
You eventually kill everyone and can't infect any more people, so you lose.
Yeah. It's very easy in this game to accidentally eliminate all the humans that serve as like your Tinder. And humans, you can't reach Greenland in time, and so you burn out. All of your hosts burn out, which means you as a disease are gone. And people repopulate from the island nation that you couldn't reach, and boom, you failed the mission, okay? This is to say you can learn quite a lot about quarantine, about how humans respond to disease, about the concerns of a disease. For instance, a disease that kills its host is usually not going to do that for super long. One of the things that the pandemic actually showed was each new wave of COVID-19 was actually usually a bit less severe than the previous one in its symptoms. And that's partially because a parasite that kills its host just did a really bad idea, right? It just did a bad thing. It's going to get itself eliminated if it does that. The objective is to live on in the host and not get killed when the host is killed, right? So how things evolve over time is kind of sort of replicated here, okay? Anyway, it's very impressive stuff. And people play this game for fun, okay? People don't get prescribed this game by their professor or teacher. They play the game, they have a great time, and they learn a lot while doing so. This team that made Plague Inc. has given talks and received awards at the CDC. It's a UK team. I think the Queen of England invited the team over. And I don't think any of them got knighted, but I think they got received by the Queen for their impactful work, okay? This is really good stuff, okay? A fantastic example of a game that is first and foremost a game, a good game, all right? And then, because it's a good game, it can deliver its topic effectively. I'm going to show you a bunch of games here, and I want you to tell me what they have in common, okay? First up, we have Reader Rabbit, 2nd grade, okay? Second, we have Math Blaster. I remember playing that one, ages 4 to 6. We have Zoombinis, Logical Journey. And we have Resident Evil Remake for the GameCube. Now, I want you to tell me what all these games have in common. What do they have in common? All of these games are trying to do something for you. What are they trying to do? Yes. Every last one of these games is trying to teach you stuff. But I would say only one of these games actually succeeds. And it's not the one that you'd expect. Okay? Let me talk to you about all these games. In Reader Rabbit, despite being a reader, you will do a lot of math to save the day. Okay? In Math Blaster, you're going to do some math to save the day. In Resident Evil Remake, you are going to do a shocking amount of math so that you don't, for instance, run out of ammo so that you can save the day. Okay? And people don't always believe me when I say that Resident Evil is out to teach you things, but it genuinely is. And unlike the other games, it can actually get the job done. Okay? This is your average gameplay moment in a Resident Evil Remake. This is one of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion. It is a very old-feeling game, but if you can get past the controls, then you will have a fantastic time, okay? You are in this hallway, all right? And what you will discover through trial and error is that enemy zombies take around 8 bullets, okay? There's a little bit of probability in there, but for the most part, they take about 8 bullets, okay? Now, this is a game where ammo, and in fact everything, healing items, even your saves, the number of times you can save is in very finite supply, okay? You're in a haunted mansion, okay? You are up against the ropes. The situation is dire. Of course you don't have that many supplies, okay? So you look and you see that you have 15 bullets. So question, should you fight this enemy? The answer is yes, that is a viable option. You can take this enemy down if you want to, okay? But you might look at your map and you might realize, well, you could go around the enemy and save some bullets, okay? But you also know that if you do want to go past this zombie, there's a second zombie down this hallway. Maybe you've already been down the hallway or you've seen it from a different direction. And so, can you defeat both zombies? No, you can't defeat both zombies. You're going to probably run out of ammo doing so on the second zombie. Well, what you might say is, I could go down this hallway instead and save my ammo, okay? But the thing is, you don't know what is down this hallway. There could be more ammo. There could be health items, but there could be another zombie. There could be an even worse enemy that requires even more resources to defeat. There could also be a save room or a boss fight you stumble into. So you have to risk it, okay? Do you want to go this safer route that you know, or do you want to go the other route that you may or may not prefer, okay? You just don't know. You might know that there's a safe room this way, so it might be a good idea to go this way, and you might say, I can tank the damage, okay? I've got 5 save items, okay? I am at fine, which means I can take 2 hits from the zombie for free, okay? So should I spend 1 on the second zombie to get to the safe room, make a permanent save using my 5 remaining save items, okay? I might not find any more in the entire game, or I might find more, I don't know, okay? I have to weigh my odds here, all right? I can survive 2 hits. Maybe it's worth expending some health so I can get a safe, another save file, right? And all of these things, look at the number of numbers and quantities you have to kind of weigh and balance. Look at the probabilities, the stochastic nature of the game, the uncertainty, okay? Should I go with what I know, or am I equipped enough to go take on some risks now, okay? What should I do? There are so many decisions here and so many things to weigh, and if you can't do math, you are dead in this game. This game's hard, okay? We talked to you about balancing your games to be a little bit hard, okay, so that your game demands respect from the player. The player has to study your game a little bit. They have to experiment. They have to try some things to get through, right? This game is balanced to be hard, okay? If you are making dumb decisions in this game, if you're not paying respect to the game, it will crush you, okay? And that's partially why it works. It's good horror. Okay, this game will kill you over and over if you do not respect it and have appropriate levels of fear. But look at all these numbers, all these things to weigh, all these probabilities. It's ridiculous. You're going to tell me this game isn't teaching you something? Get out of here, right? Some people look at the cover of the box and they assume it's a stupid zombie game. Even the dumbest zombie games have a lot you need to weigh and consider. They'll teach you stuff, okay? So the question is, what does it actually mean to be an educational game? If you recall our guidance lecture, you remember that? With Kya Dark Lineage, with E.T. E.T. is an example of a game that has a lot to teach you, and it's the worst teacher on the planet. Okay, rate my professor 0 out of 5 for E.T. Kya Dark Lineage, total opposite. It has a lot of things to teach you. It's very good at teaching you. And the thing that drives us teachers crazy is that Kya Dark Lineage can teach you whatever it wants. It can hook you. It can teach you 1,000 things. But none of them are general chemistry. Okay? None of them are personal finance. None of them are computer programming. And so, what does it mean to be an educational game? Well, I'll tell you, these days, if you hear that a game is educational, what does that mean? Do you want to play that game? No. You go running for the hills. If someone describes a game as educational, you run. Why? It's because you get the educational label when that's the only thing your game has to offer. Yes, it technically tries to teach you stuff, but it's no good at it, and it's certainly not any fun, okay? Because good games don't need the educational label. They're going to teach you things, they're going to do it easily, and you're going to have a great time doing it, okay? So games always educate, right? You remember Mario 3D World, okay? You remember this cakewalk flip level in which the game so elegantly forces you to jump up this ledge, at which point you will notice how the flipping of the panels relates to your jump actions, okay? You are given a nice, peaceful, risk-free area to practice in, and then we start heading toward the homework, and then we start heading toward the exams at the end, where you better not mess this up, okay? Just incredible, okay? Education design is game design. They are the same damn thing, okay? Games are always educating. In Metroid, the game pushes you into this room where you get the morph ball, and you cannot escape this room until you stumble upon the morph ball's greatest utility. You press down, you morph into the ball, you escape the room. You cannot proceed past this point until you've learned this, and the game teaches you so elegantly. You don't need any text at all. If you do get stuck in this little area, you start mashing the buttons out of frustration. What are you likely to press? The down button. And when you do, what do you discover? You can get small. Elegant. Players get to own this discovery. They love it. They're engaged by it. They're not hand-holded. They are put in a situation where they are very likely to learn something by themselves, for themselves. And as a result, they own it. They feel like an adventurer. They're up to the challenge. They love this shit, okay? Sorry for all my expletives, but this stuff really matters. This is my entire career, okay? Games that educate are also in high demand, okay? People pay you a lot of money. Arbor Interactive got started making educational games, okay, for the federal government, okay? Kind of an unusual customer, but the federal government has a lot of money. Maybe not quite as much these days, but we'll have to see how it all plays out. So educational, is it a meaningful distinction? I would argue, no, it is not, okay? And this is the final thing I'm going to show you, and then we're going to chill out, and next time we're going to finish this lecture up. I want to show you how Minecraft is being used in the classroom. Did you know that this game, one of the most popular games on the planet, has an educational edition? And it doesn't make the game bad, right? All it does is add some extra features for teachers to kind of wrangle their rowdy, crazy students as they play and kind of make sure they're staying on the rails, okay? Let's take a look.
Minecraft is a video game that has has a lot to offer. At its core, it's very open-ended. If you want to have an adventure, you can have an adventure. If you want to build something, you can build something. If you want to talk to your friends, you can talk to your friends. If you want to kill monsters, you can kill monsters. So the game appeals to a lot of people. It makes a lot of sense to take a game that is already fun, that is proven to be enjoyable to kids, and try to find a way to bring it into the classroom.
So you look at Minecraft EDU launcher. Imagine how long this took Brandon to make. Oh, I know. He just drops you from all the way up there.
You know, my school, as well as many others, have been struggling with the issue of how to teach digital citizenship, which is internet ethics, online safety, privacy, research. I mean, it's everything. Because as our kids were getting into middle school and high school, we had a lot of, frankly, ugly incidents happen. And so, the school's administration, along with the computer department, decided we really need to start teaching these concepts earlier. We're going to treat the game world as part of the classroom. It is a classroom, it's just in the digital space. Almost every single kid finally kind of came around and sort of got it.
Go ahead, let's start off by getting in, following the instructions that are up onto the board. Okay, you are students. Pick your avatar.
Pixel Pushers, as a student project here at the ETC, is working with Minecraft EDU to develop a series of software features for their software. So our programmers have been working on a quiz block and a lesson review tool to include in the Minecraft EDU software. While we're also working on researching, how and what you can best teach with Minecraft. You can really teach a wide array of things that aren't immediately obvious.
The kids have to think it's fun. Otherwise, what's the point? There's plenty of educational games out there, and frankly, very few of them have ever been very satisfying for me. I never wanted to use them in my classroom because it smells like school.
Make sure you're using the right material. Make sure you're not using gravel for the parts that are in between the pillars there, because the gravel will fall. Let's check out group 2. Oh, nice. You're almost done with the hardest shape. Good job.
In our research, we started out asking, what can Minecraft teach? As we actually started playtesting with students, we found that might be the wrong question, and that it's more interesting to ask how can Minecraft teach.
The virtual world of Minecraft, I think, is fun and powerful, for these kids. And I think they get it in a way that I think some of their teachers don't sometimes.
I think the most important thing for someone coming to Minecraft from an educational perspective is to just play the game. Just get a feel for how the game works, and then perhaps even more importantly, let the students play the game.
You have to think about where 21st century kids are living. I mean, they come here in school, but they're texting each other on the way home, and then they're on Facebook, and then they're playing games together. It's all a continuum. They don't separate the conversations that they have typed into Minecraft with the ones that they have in the lunchroom. There's such excitement around this game. Getting that excitement into schools all over the world. The more voices we have coming up with ideas and creating content and sharing content, the better.
Right? It's easier to take a game that is excellent and fun and engaging and kind of morph it to be a bit more educational. It is vastly easier to do that than to go the opposite direction. Take a very poor game design, okay, that's educational, and somehow make it fun. Okay, so that's your takeaway today, all right? I hope I've made my argument effectively that all games are educational. The label of educational game is probably not so poignant anymore and probably was never much of a good thing you wanted your game to have. The educational label, great. What a slap in the face, right? What a backhanded compliment. And that, right, a lot of the best games and pieces of art are about presenting interesting ideas to the user and giving them new, interesting perspectives on them, okay? So I hope I hope when you play your next game, you'll ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Maybe it's something really useful and practical, maybe something not, okay? Learning how the game mechanics in a Mario stage work, that is education. It's not general chemistry or personal finance, but you're still learning something, okay? And think more about guidance. Every game is trying to teach you something. How does it teach you effectively? Some games are extraordinarily bad at teaching you stuff, like ET. Some courses are quite bad at teaching you stuff, all right? But then other games are exceptionally good at it. Courses are good at it. And so notice these things when you move forward, okay? And I will see you next time. I'll give you a little hint. On Wednesday, next Wednesday, we're going to be playing a game together you might have heard of, okay? So we're going to be heading to Oregon together on Wednesday, okay? So I hope you'll join me then and get ready for the wagon train out west. And we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. All right, take care, everyone. See ya.